Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Thursday and it is time for another beginner's adult coloring from the beginning lesson. A lot of people have asked me several questions about choosing color and how I look at a picture and choose the colors because I don't choose them beforehand. But in a way I do. Because when I pick a picture or choose a picture, my brain automatically picks the colors or the color scheme for that picture. Like for example, this picture here, I know these are bluebells. So the predominant color in this picture is going to be a lot of blues and greens. You can tell that just by the natural effect of the page itself. So when you look at a page, and you see what that image is, your brain automatically refers to another image in your brain of it what parts are in that picture. Like for example, this picture here, I chose this picture because it's very simple and very easy to explain. Um, of course, we know that bluebells are blues with a little bit of purple, sometimes a little bit of white, sometimes darker blue, lighter blue, that sort of thing. But we all know that this is in the blue family. The leaves, of course, are going to be in the green family. Our little mousy fella here, or girl, our little mousy, is gray. Her mama is brown. I've decided that. Just saying. But the little mouse is gray. The little worm is going to be green. You know, little things like that tell you where your color schemes are going to be. I choose a lot of my colors out of nature. So when I look at a page, even a busy page, like this page here, for example, that's a little bit busier, I refer back to nature, like the ivy leaves. I know the ivy leaves can have a little bit of red in them, they can have green, they can have white, that sort of thing. The flowers, the natural colors for flowers are pinks and purples and yellows and oranges and that sort of thing. The little worm can either be browns or it can be greens, depending upon what kind of worm it is. The evergreen little bush here is, of course, greens. The grass is, of course, greens. The little walkway coming from the door where they're standing there. So there's little pebbles here. So pebbles are typically browns or grays. The big pebble here in front of the doorway reminds me of a stepping stone into the doorway, so I would do that grays. Or because it's got the little flicks on it, it looks like it might be a welcome mat, so I would add a color for that mat. The mouse is grays in this one because it's the female. The It's the little matchstick mouse, so she's female, so we'll do her in grays. Now for her hat, what I would do is I would choose the predominant color. So there's a lot of green in here. So the opposing color for green is purple. So I would do her hat in purple. I would do a few different flowers in purple just so that that amount of purple is spread out across the page. We're going to color this one here, and of course we still are using our Coloria. And another way that you can choose colors before we get started is your color wheel. Now this one here, the Adamus, is great because it also has the pastel color tones as well as the darks and shadow tones. So when you're choosing a color and you're stuck, you can look at the amount of different colors that are in the page and choose the highest dominant color. The dominant colors in here are going to be blues, so I would go with, it's going to be blues and greens, so the blue family. So if she wasn't gray, I would end up going with a brown tone. But I know that she is gray, so I'm going to go with a gray tone. However, I can make that a warm gray and make her pop out just a little bit more and be more cohesive in the scheme of the colors. So you can do that. You can definitely use your color wheel to help you understand where your complementary color is to the dominant color in your page. So if you're looking at a page that is um, very scattered like this one, the dominant color in this page, of course, is going to be the mouse, which is going to be gray. So everything goes with gray. But then you look at all the surrounding things here. So there's a lot of leaves, which are green. This is a stump, which is brown. So you can do her hat in the purple and the leaves in the greens, the grass in the greens, the little worm in the greens. So the predominant color in this entire scene is the green because there's a lot of green. So you would choose your colors against your greens. So let's go to the green. So there we go. So you have a triad of colors, different ones, split complementaries, complementaries, that sort of thing. So a lot of things go with green, such as oranges, reds, and violets, purples. So you have pretty much this entire area here that will give you a good selection of different colors to go with the green. So you can easily go through your flowers and do one orange or do one orange with the red orange, violets, that sort of thing. You can also go into your backside here and do the same thing with your pastel colors. So pinks and peaches and that sort of thing are all different variations of colors that are complementary to green. Myself, that's how I choose colors is I look at what is in the picture. I look at what nature has provided us for light for colors and that sort of thing. And I usually choose a color that is natural to that plant if I'm coloring a plant. That is natural to that animal if I'm coloring an animal and that sort of thing. So if, like for instance, the bamboo chair that she's sitting on here, or I'm not sure if it's a chair or, but she's sitting on this bamboo chair here. The bamboo, because it's a cut bamboo, I would do in light browns, almost a white brown, so a brown gray, and then a little bit of green for the newness of the bamboo. Just make up something in your brain that explains the picture and the colors will fall into place. There is no right or wrong way to color. There is no right or wrong colors for anything. So if you want to do this entire page in nothing but fluorescent pink, do this entire page in nothing but fluorescent pink. Do what makes you happy. Um, Another thing that a lot of people do choose to use, and I have used them for different challenges as well as when I did have a color block, is the color cards. So these are color swatches, um, combination cards. So these are different colors that go well together so that you can do things like that. Different colors that go well together to give you your shadows and that sort of thing. And we're going to get into the colors to choose for shadows and that as well so that we can work through how to do all of that sort of thing. And we'll do that here in just a minute. So this is a different cards that I printed off from a book that was provided free of charge by Radu Fraze or Frazi. I'm not exactly sure how to say his name, but he is a really, really good artist. He does several different how-to books on digital arts as well as art itself. He also has some coloring books out there as well. And he provides this book, which is a book of 100 different swatches and color combinations so that you guys can have that tool at hand. And he does that free of charge. And I printed out the entire book, cut up each card, and I keep it in my little fella here so that I can easily find it and pull a card when I want to do a challenge or something like that. Bob was going to print him. He's supposed to have a little head, but the head didn't work, so instead he has little hands that come up and yeah. But that's another tool that you can use um, for that color choosing when you're stuck. I know that Sarah Renee Clark has her color cube, and that's the same ideas. All right, so um, yeah. So I'm going to choose some blues here to work with. Now we're going to talk more about the combinations for shadowing and that sort of thing. Now you can use gray tones and that sort of thing for your shadows. I'm going to find my page. But you don't have to. I always use a darker version of the color I'm using for a shadow instead of using a gray tone. Like shadows, for example, like my hand right now. If I put my hand in front of the light, the shadow here is going to be gray because it's blocking the light hitting this area. So the shadow will give you that color change. Now, if I put my hand in front of the light, say when I'm outside on the grass will appear a darker green than the rest of the grass that is under the shadow. So if the entire lawn is bright green and you hold your hand over top of the grass in the sun, the grass underneath your hand will appear to be a darker green. And that's the way that I choose to do my shadows, especially on objects. Now, if I have somebody standing on, say, a walkway or a road or something like that, I'm going to do more of the gray shadows where the object that they're standing on is in that gray family tone. All right. So for the bluebells, we're going to use light blue first of all, and we're going to base the entire bluebell with the light blue. I'm going to try really hard not to keep my hand over top of the page so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I have not zoomed in as far as I was before, just so that I don't cover the page with my hand so you can actually see what I'm doing. Because, yeah, watching the back of my hand do things is not fun and definitely not helpful. So I do apologize for the video that I did with my hand in the way. I did change the positioning of my camera for up close colorings. So I will be, if I need to get up close to show you something, I will do so without my hand in the way. And hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Right now I'm just doing a scrubbing motion in medium-sized circles, just filling in as much of the bluebell as possible. Well, as quickly as possible. I'm going to fill in the whole thing, but I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible. That's the words I want. Now, I know there's a lot of different how-to videos out there, and a lot of them have a lot of the same information in them. There are some out there that will give you a lot more information than I'm giving you because they know a lot more about the color cubes. They know a lot more about the color wheels and color theory and all that sort of stuff. I do not know barely anything of the color theory of color cubes or anything like that. I just know what I have found myself and what I know by having others point it out. I have watched a couple of them and I find some of them very confusing, so I just know that when I want to color something with shadow, I tend to use a darker color of the same color family to give it that shadow. So I'm using number 47, 467, which is blueberry. Now we're going to put in the shadows of the flower here. So we've got a bit of a shadow from the upturn of the flower there, as well as here and under here. So the bottom side of the flower is getting the shadow. This part here will have some shadow. This part here will have some shadow. And you gotta remember this area here is also curved, so you're going to have shadow because it's a cup. It's not a flat object. So you're going to have shadow up here, giving you that curvature. Showing us where that curve is at the top of the cup. We're going to have shadow down here as well because this is overlapping. And then we're going to come down this side here and give it the curvature as well. Just going to keep on checking to make sure my hand's not in the way. So this is just a very basic bluebell, and then we're going to give it some definition, some different colors of dimension. Because not all bluebells are just blue. So I'm just going in little tiny scrubbing motions, filling in that space, giving it that shadow, following that line, and following this line here. Now I'm lightening my hand as I come down from this highlight area, bringing that shadow down into the highlight. Now we're going to use a little bit of royal purple, which is 572, and we're just going to come down here, and we're going to start adding different color dimension. So different areas that color is going to be brought together with the blue. And this will just give it that little bit extra. And following that line all the way down and just giving it a little bit of a dimensional peak there. Same with this line here. We're going to follow it up and give it just a little bit of a dimensional peak. Like so. And then we're going to take our periwinkle and we're just going to bring that down. I'm going to turn it slightly here. Periwinkle is a very deceiving color. When you put it with blues and a blue undercoat, it looks more blue. But if you put it by itself or onto a purple, it actually picks up that purple tone and gives it a little bit of a purple look as well. I'm putting a little bit more pressure on it over here where that curve of the flower is coming in. Leaving that center highlight open. We're going to just shrink that highlight just a little bit. By coming through here. And spreading out that blue. And then we're going to take our light blue again, and we're going to use the light blue as our blender. Filling in the white spot. Like so. And blue and purple go very well together. So using that purple for a little bit more interest in the bluebill gives you a little bit more dimension, a little bit more color in the page, but it also gives you that little bit of interest. So it's not just a bluebill. It's a bluebell. You know? So there we have the first bluebell. Now this one on her head, we're going to do it because there's some different shadow aspects to it. Again, we're going to fill it in with the light blue. A very light amount. I'm being very loose with the layers. quite a large bluebell if she's able to wear it as a hat. I don't know, she's a really small mouse. It feels like a really large one though. Now that we're adding the color to it. When coloring in large areas like this, it is always better to, I feel that it's always better to add a base coat just so that you have something to work into so that you're not feeling the anxiety or the daunt of a large surface area. One of the reasons why I find with backgrounds, if it's a large area that's wide open, I tend to use the pan pastels, the oil pastels, that sort of thing, in order to fill in that space quickly, and then I can work in the details afterwards. And that's basically what I do with doing the undercoat is I'm putting in that color and then I can work in the details such as the shadows, the curves, that sort of thing. So we started off with the light blue. Now we're working with the blueberry. And one of the reasons why I chose blueberry is because blueberry does have a brighter tone, but it still has a darker tone. So once I put the purple into it, I can make that tone even darker. So that's one of the reasons why I use blueberry. Also, when I come back through with the light blue, I can enhance that blueberry a little bit. So I'm going under this flower here with the shadow, as well as this flower here with the shadow. And I'm not bringing it all the way down on that side. I will bring it all the way down the creases in the flower itself, such as here, and down the edge here. And then we'll start adding the purple as well as the periwinkle and that sort of thing to maintain the cohesion of all of the bluebells so that they all have the same color scheme. Now you do not have to follow exactly what you did there. You may just decide that this one here is just going to have a little bit of purple up at the top. Or you may just decide that the purple is going to be at the tips of the flowers, at the tips of the ends here. Or you may decide that, you want those tips to be bright white or yellow. Anything that you decide is your decision. This is your page, your coloring. Don't worry about reality when it comes to your coloring. I get hung up a lot on trying to pick my colors from reality when the picture itself is not realistic. So I do have issues when I'm trying to choose a page or a color palette for a page without a reference. So I do use references a little bit. So if I don't know what something is, I will look it up and see what it is so that I can color it accurately. Um, if it's something out of the imagination, I tend to flounder just a little bit and have to actually look at different fantasy pages that I've colored in the past, different ones that other people have colored, and that sort of thing. Instagram and Facebook is fantastic for that. To look at what other people have colored things as so that you can see in your own mind what you want that to be. All right, so we've gotten through with the blueberry. Now I'm just going to come down here with the purple, darkening up that edge just a little bit, as well as under here. Now I want that purple to be a little bit more dominant on the center area, as well as down on this side here. So I'm going to put more of that purple in than I did on the other flower. I don't tend to shift my color selection when I've chosen the colors for an object. If there are several objects in the page that are the same, I will color them all in the same colors. I may not do them in the same order, which does in fact change the outcome, and I may not put the different color in the same place. Like if I'm doing a flower and I want the flower to be pink, um, purple, and a little bit of peach, I will make sure that that purple and the peach are not in the same sort of configuration on each flower, if that makes sense. Okay. And then we're going to use our periwinkle. Like so. So one of the ways that I choose colors, of course, is with, well, one of the ways I started choosing colors, I should say, because I don't use it as much now as I used to. Um, if I got stuck on a color, I would definitely use my color wheel to give myself some assistance. I would also look up the object that I'm coloring and see what natural colors are available, what natural color combinations are available for that object. And that will give you an idea of how you want to color it and what colors you want to use. Another way of doing it, of course, is searching through your own memory bank. Everybody has their own memory bank of what things in nature look like if you've seen them before. So take a look at what you already know and verify whether or not you know what that flower is and you've seen it in this color or this color or this color. It gives you a better understanding of what you're coloring and gives you the ability to say, okay, I know what this is. This is one of these. And then decide whether you want to color it the natural way, um, with the color palette that nature has given the plant, Or if you want to change it up a little bit and color them the same way that you would a quilt, because you can do that. You can color however you feel happiest. So if you really enjoy coloring in nothing but pastels, then color in nothing but pastels. If you are happy with coloring with nothing but fluorescence, color with fluorescence. If you prefer markers, color with markers. There's no wrong way of doing anything in coloring. All right, so that is the lesson for today, is how to choose your colors. Choosing colors is not difficult. Um, the rule of thumb is to choose a light, medium, and dark color in your dominant family. So in your color family of the area that you're coloring. These are bluebells, so I've chosen 3 different blues, as well as a accent color, which is the purple, which gives it just a little bit more um, dimension in the coloring itself. So if you're having issues choosing a color for a really busy page, break that page down into small sections. Take a look at what's in that section. If there's dolphins in that section, you know dolphins are gray or a blue-gray. So choose a blue and a gray and a darker gray and just add color to that dolphin. Like I said, everything is from your own perspective. Everything is from your imagination and your perspective. There is no wrong way of doing any of this. No matter what colors you choose, I could have chosen 3 shades of pink or 6 shades of pink or 3 shades of pink and 3 shades of purple. Or I could have chosen every color family in the rainbow and colored them in a rainbow effect. None of this would have been wrong. Just saying, everything that we do in coloring, no matter what we do, is 100% correct. You are your own critic, worst critic. Um, I know I am. I am a terrible critic for myself. I have issues with um, accepting that things aren't going to be perfect. I want everything to be perfect. I want everything to be spot on, exactly the way my brain has said it should be. And I get frustrated and I get deterred when it doesn't come out that way. And I have had to self-talk and I've had to have my friends talk and remind me that it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be enjoyable. It has to be something that I enjoyed coloring. So as long as it's enjoyable, it doesn't matter how it turns out. As long as you're able to sit back and say, I colored that and it looks good. Or I colored that and I had fun doing it. Or I colored that and it was so relaxing. It doesn't matter what the object is or what the outcome is. Once you enjoy what you're doing, that's all that matters. So don't get hung up on color cubes, color wheels, um, different groups that say you can't color things that color, or different people that say, okay, that's not realistic. Or, if you want to color a rooster purple, color a rooster purple. There is nothing wrong with that. The one thing that I will say, and that will make your colors look um, the way that you would like them to, I guess is the best way to put that, is to start with a 3 color combination. Um, I always choose in the same color family, a light, dark, and a medium. You can change out one of those, say your medium color, for a color in the same color family. Purple is in the same family as the blue. However, it is also in the same family as red. So you can choose different purples. There's a blue family of purples. There's also a red family of purples. And you can mix and match them together. It is not a incorrect thing to do. You can add pink to blue because it's a complementary color to blue. You can add purple to blue also because it's a complementary color to blue. You know, different things like that. You can look up the different videos, different people out there that are a little bit more knowledgeable to myself in color theory and understanding color theory and making that easier for you to understand. I have watched a few different ones, and some I took information from, some I found very confusing, and just let my brain do whatever it's going to do. I don't pre-choose my colors. I look at an object and say, I want that to be this color. And I pull a light, dark, and a medium of that color. Once I get a light color down and then the shadows in, I may decide, okay, I want that to have a little bit of a yellow glow to it. And I add a bit of yellow. Or I might decide, okay, I'm going to do the sun shining down on it, so I want this area here to be whiter, and I put a white in it. I may decide that there's a fire nearby and I need to put a little bit of orange in there for the reflection of the fire. So I'll put that in there. Choosing your shadow colors. Your shadow colors are usually the darker color of the color you've chosen for your base. So I based all of these in that light blue. My shadow colors are the darker blue. The enhancement color or the extra color is the purple, and then the medium tone, which brings those colors into our highlight area, is the periwinkle. So those are all different techniques of how to choose your colors and how to utilize your colors together on an object. And like I said, as long as you have a light, medium, dark of your base color, you can add anything else to that color combination that you would like. However, I always suggest that you choose a complementary color. Um, just so that it looks a little bit more cohesive for you. Now, where's my, there it is. Now let's say our main color here is blue. So let's go over here to blue. So our complementary colors, blue, are oranges, pinks, and yellows. Now because this is a red violet, it still falls into that pink color. However, if I was doing it, see down here is more of that pink color. So if you want to match them up, it matches up very well. But I wouldn't want to go this heavy, heavy red violet in through here because it's a little bit too dark. It's too much violet. All right, so we've got blue, we've got our light blue here. Yeah, this one here for our base. This one up here, yeah, closer to that for our shadow. And then this one here, the periwinkle kind of color for our medium tone. So we've got our light, dark, and our medium. And then we have that pinky purple in through there, which gives us those embellishments of the color. So you're going to take a look at the different definitions, the different things like that, but don't get confused and don't get tied up with I'm coloring this blue, so I have to use orange, yellow, and pink. You do not have to use orange, yellow, and pink. You can say you're going to use blue and you want green. So you can use violet. You know, you can use any color on this wheel as a complementary color. Would I suggest doing the same thing I did with the pink, say with orange? Not really. I don't feel it would not be a color that I would choose to put over top of blue. Would I do the same thing with green? Yes, because green does add that new growth look to a plant. Would I do it with a dark purple? No, because it's too dark. So, when you're choosing different things like that, think of the color that you're looking at and think of what it's going to look like with those other colors so that, you're not taking away from the other colors, you're enhancing the other colors. So that's the one reason why I do suggest new colorists use the color wheel because it gives you a lot of information of A, what is complementary to the color you've chosen, and B, whether or not the color that you've chosen and the complementary color go together. If you have chosen, let's do red violet because it's a fairly difficult one. Because it does cover a lot of ranges of colors that are complementary and that sort of thing. So your complementary color is going to be a green, a yellow green. You have all your greens and you have all your yellows. Those are complementary colors to that purple. However, when you're coloring with it, you don't want to put the yellow orange over top of it because then what you're going to get is brown. So what you are going to want to put with it is the blue-green and the greens to give you that complementary contrast. When you're choosing your color, make sure that you have a light, medium, and dark of the color of the main color that you're going to use. The reason for this is because when you use that color, you're going to have shadow lines, you're going to have highlights, you're going to have bases. So your base color will be your light because that's going to be your highlight color. Your medium tone is going to be your base color. So that's what color you want the object to be if the light's not hitting it and if it's not in shadow. And the shadow color is going to be your base color, just darker, so that when you color under something that's shadowed or curved over, it gives you that darker tone. Now, your shadow color, you can also use grays and blacks to give you that shadow as well. I am not fond of that look. I have used it and I do use it for certain colors, but I do prefer the look of a darker color as the shadow than using a gray or a black. So that is my information on color choices. Now, one more thing I'm going to say about the color cards, the color combination cards. There a lot of information in there. So this tells you that all of these colors go together, which is great. However, if you say want to do the sky, they haven't included blue in that card. Say you want to do, I don't know. Say your tree has a floral garden down below, and you want to do some colors in the floral garden that don't go with that so that they don't blend together. You can still add a different color palette. You don't have to stick with just one color palette. You can choose this color palette here and then this color palette for the sky. You can choose this color palette for the tree, this color palette for the sky. Um, let's see. Let's grab this color palette for the bush and the florals, if there's a bush and a flower, below the tree, or the grass areas as well. So you're not stuck with just one color palette. You can mix and match color palettes. You can choose an entire color palette for one object if you want to. Do not feel that one color palette is going to cover your entire page. Sometimes you can work with one color palette on your entire page. Sometimes it's better to choose a color palette for one object, one area, that sort of thing, instead of, making it difficult on yourself to color an entire area with a small color palette. And remember, you can use a dark, medium, and light of all these colors. The sky, for example, is not just this blue. It's lighter down here, darker up here, and it's all variations of this blue. All right, so don't feel that just because it's on a color card or in a color cube or anything like that, that color palette is what you're going to use for your entire picture. You don't need to do that. You know, you can choose it for, like this, for example, will give you the color palette for pretty much an entire picture with flowers, sky, and everything else. But say there's a bench in there. You're not going to want to use this color palette for that bench. Say there's a walkway. You're not going to want to choose that color palette for the walkway. So choose your color palettes as you see fit to choose the color palettes. Don't just stick to one color palette, and don't make yourself stressed out because the color of an object is not in that color palette. Color palettes are great and very helpful in choosing colors for objects, choosing color associated colors. So for example, this one here gives you all of the associated colors for this flower. It gives you the greens, it gives you the shadow colors, which is this purple, it gives you the white for the um, petal color. It also gives you the shadow colors for the green areas, the dark green, the medium green, and the light green. It gives you a bit of a green, yellow-green highlight color. It's great for this object. But would I use this color palette, say, on a tree? I wouldn't, because it just doesn't have enough of that fresh leaf green color. So not all color palettes and color cards are good for an entire picture. Some of them are best suited for a individual part of the picture. So if you're having issues trying to figure out the best color palette for one part of your picture, you can look into your color cubes and find a really good color combination that suits that part of the picture. However, make sure that that part of the picture is still cohesive with the rest of the page. So make sure that the colors that are in that part of the picture are utilized elsewhere in the page so that it doesn't stand out as an oddity in the page. All right, guys, so that is it for me for color theory, color information. I hope it was helpful and not extremely confusing. The one thing I will always say from day one, the best way to start with choosing your colors is to choose a color from nature that suits the object you're going to be coloring. when you choose your color, choose a light, medium, and dark of the color that you have chosen. This will give you your light, your highlight color, your medium color, which is the base color of your object, so the color that you want that object to be, and a dark color, which will give you your shadows. Um, and that will give you that dimension of curvature and that sort of thing that you want in your pages. All right, guys, I will continue this one. I will finish up all the bluebells and we will come back and we will talk a little bit more about shadows and how to use blacks and grays in shadows. I will show you how to do that on the leaves on the next lesson. With that, thank you all very much for watching. Again, I hope this was helpful, a little bit informative, and I hope you have fun in your practice for this lesson. Um, Before we come back, please have go through and practice on all of the bluebells. Like I said, I will be finishing up the bluebells. The colors I will be using once again are number 413, which is light blue, and number 467, which is blueberry, number 572, which is royal purple, and number 499, which is periwinkle. These are the four colors I have chosen for the bluebells. I have used the light blue as the base color because that's my highlight color. So the base color is the light blue. I came in through with the blueberry and put in all the shadows. Then I came in with my interest color. So this is giving the detail and the little bit of interest in the bluebell itself, which is my royal purple. I then came in with my base color. So this is the color that is going to make the rest of the page a little darker, the rest of the area a little bit darker, and give us that proper color of the bluebell. And that's periwinkle. I went over every area, including the areas with the blue and everything else up until my highlight area. Then I took the lightest blue, which is light blue, and I went over everything, filling in that white spot, getting that highlight there, but still darker so that it doesn't look like white on the page. Um, I will also come through at some point and blend that all. I will use a Caran d'Ache blender to blend that all together so that it's nice and smooth and cohesive. Now, you don't have to blend. You can use your pencils to build that color up into a blend. Um, the way that you do that, of course, is to go over it back and forth through your colors until you have the least amount of white spots showing that you like. If you prefer to have that white spot showing, keep the white spot. There's nothing wrong with the white spot. All right, guys, with that, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. Of course, like I said, go out there, go through the YouTube channels looking for tutorials on color theory, on color cubes, on um, color wheels, that sort of thing, and how to utilize those. If the information confuses you immediately out of the bat on a video, don't watch it because it's going to confuse your perception. So don't get yourself worked up or confused or irritated or frustrated trying to learn something that isn't being isn't reaching you information wise. Experiment. Use your tools and experiment a little bit. Take a color card or a color swatch book or anything like that, even a small card that has a blank surface and take your colors that you want to use, or take your color wheel and make color cards of your different color combinations that work well together. And that will give you a lot more information than watching somebody else show you how to do it. Um, Sometimes it's just simpler and it's better for our own brains to hear something or watch something be done and then do it ourselves. I find that if um, the information interests me, I'll watch the entire video. But if I don't understand it, I get confused and frustrated and just leave it alone. So go through, find a video that you enjoy that reaches your informational part of your brain on color theory and that sort of thing. Like I said, I have no idea about color theory. I just know that I want a light, medium, and dark pencil because I want to put in shadows and highlights into the into the color that I've chosen. So I chose blue, so I chose a medium blue for the bluebell, and then I went with a darker and a lighter color of that color to give it the dimension. I chose a complementary color to give it interest. So with that, it's second nature to me now. Um, but a lot of the times I look around myself and look outside and look, at other pictures to see what is available in that colors. As you go along in your coloring journey, you are going to find something that I found really cool when it hit me. Um, when you go outside, you're going to start looking at things and start being able to pick out different colors in things. You're going to be able to pick out, something that you thought was just green, and you'll be able to pick out the yellow in it. You'll be able to pick out the blue in it. You'll be able to pick out the red in it. And you will figure out that everything has so much more color in it once you're able to see the different layers of color that goes into something to create that natural color. So practice. Go grab your book. Put down the colors that you want on your bluebells. Like I said, you don't have to do them blue. The If you want to follow exactly what I'm doing, you can definitely do so. I've listed the colors previously in the video, but practice, build those colors up to where you're satisfied with them. If you want to color them pink, grab a light, medium, and dark pink and add those in, put those down. The same way I showed you, you put a base layer of your light, you put in your shadow colors, so the curvature colors are going to be your dark, under here is going to be your dark, and then bring your medium up until you hit your highlight color area. So because this has no obvious light source, you're the light source. So the front ends of all of these objects is going to have that highlight. All right, guys, with that, thank you all very much for watching. Always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until next time, bye-bye for now.